Alright, today I want to do a channel update for the end of September as we start October. I want to talk to you guys about all the plans and the stuff I've got going on. I'm looking forward to this video too. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's just because it's nice to be candid about how things are going and hopefully to get you guys excited because I have been very busy. I've been working my ass off and I'm excited and insecure about how you guys will take it. So let's talk in broad strokes. Footage in the background, by the way, is me exploring the new Guild Wars 2 patch, which I haven't got around to actually covering just yet, but it's got TP favoriting and stuff. The channel at the moment continues to be in this kind of weird place where we have traded 20 to 30k views every video for like way less views per video, but way more videos, and what's really important is way higher watch time on the videos. That's what YouTube really cares about, I guess, and that's usually what I feel like I've always been about. A few days ago, I tweeted looking at my analytics, which I never really do. I'd rather just make cool stuff and let what happens happen. But I looked at my analytics and it said we had something like 300,000 more extra views coming in only from recommendeds than we normally would, and that's because, again, the algorithm likes watch time so much. When you guys are there, you're there for a good length of time, and that's nice. I think also that's people liking and commenting and stuff, and we put the animated potato on screen recently. Maybe that did stuff, but keep it up, guys, honestly. You've created this positive momentum. I also found this amazing website early in the month somebody kicked up recently, which aggregates all viewership and number of videos for various video game categories on YouTube. So you know how when I make a Guild Wars 2 video, it says Guild Wars 2 beneath? Well, there's this page that brings all of that information together. And, I mean, how uplifting is this to see that over my time covering this game, we are the #1 channel all time, even beating Guild Wars 2 itself. And by a wide margin, though their official channel I remember getting created. It's kind of new in my eyes. So, I don't want to be too much of a braggart, but that's cool, right? Especially beating some of those enormous channels that only came around to do a couple of videos once in a while and then left. Also, on the right here, you can see people who just put up a lot of videos, and that actually led to me to finding a lot of channels I didn't know about. I mean, I've always tried to be grounded about my success here, not take it too much for granted. That is really cool. So looking back to this month we just gone through, I thought it was really smart to focus on Guild Wars 2 as much as possible. Obviously, I played and we finished Arena, but then I really wanted to focus on Tyria. I really wanted to make sure that people subbed for the Guild Wars stuff know that even though I've got all these big new plans, Guild Wars still has a home on the channel and I'll be doing good stuff with that. They've got a reason to stick about. So we did like a double whammy of Guild Wars long series. We did the open world series and the Last Day Dawns, alternating as they go up. My real plan for this year is to have a Guild Wars project and a non-Guild Wars project alternating, but we did a double dose. Then I split some extra time for myself to boot up the Graveyard for Guild Wars, and I'm looking very closely at the Steam release, and I've been doing some work on that. So, and in particular with the Steam release, I've got some very ambitious plans, because I think this could be a great moment for the game. I'm really happy that the Steam release is coming at the end of this month, October, so I've got a buffer to, you know, get other things done, and then we can look at it. But I have already started, so let's just run through how everything's gone. First of all, The Last Day Dawns. That series is now over. You saw the last part yesterday. It was probably slightly too long for its own good. But look, I'm really happy with, first of all, the initial amount of you guys that watched it. I launched both of those about the same time, and I really thought people would be more interested in the open world stuff than Last Day Dawns. Because Last Day Dawns was like a fan project, you know? It was just made by someone in the community. It's not really the game. And as someone so eloquently put in one of those early comments, people aren't going to enjoy this because it's a game that looks like it comes from the 90s based on a game that came out in the early 2000s. I'm paraphrasing quite heavily there. And, you know, I think that they have a point with that, but people really liked it. I loved playing it. It was just probably too many parts, a bit too long for its own good. I just wanted to get everything done because I enjoyed playing it so much. Really, it probably should have ended last week, if not a bit earlier, because views did get kind of low towards the end. Overall, I'm just really happy that Jomo, who made it, actually got some players and hopefully some feedback. Supposedly there are people in the Discord. On the long term, I don't know how much people are going to help or how much he wants to do with it or on any of that kind of stuff. But look, someone put a ton of work in, and I'm glad to be able to give something back there. Another note, by the way, there is another Guild Wars fan project. Did you guys know? It's called Guild Wars Tactics. It's been in development for a long time. They have their own Twitter and all this stuff. I was very, very loosely in contact with them ages ago. In fact, I still have an unread personal message on Twitter from them that, embarrassingly, I haven't got round to for ages. So maybe we can look at that too. I'm honestly astounded how many people watch the start of The Last Day Dawns. So we could do Guild Wars Tactics and just try not to have it overstay its welcome. We'll see later. I'm already chock-a-block with other things. Next, we have the Open World series. Listen, guys, I really don't have too much to say here. It was really fun to produce. I love the format. Having TechZoon play so that it keeps some movement going and I don't go on these massive long tangents and, you know, it always feels like there's a good pace to it, I think has worked super well. I honestly get very insecure about my own stuff and don't like watching it or interacting with it once it's out a lot of the time. But I found even myself, how narcissistic is this? I even found myself 2 days ago while doing the dishes, listening to the Wayfarer Foothills episode just in the background, and I think it feels really chill. It's really nice. So I'm super happy with that series. It's going to be going out for a long time. Throughout the rest of this month, we will keep that as a regular thing. I think the final episode comes right as October is closing, something like that. So you still got plenty of that to enjoy. I do encourage people to keep giving it a shot. I hope that it too doesn't end up overstaying its welcome like The Last Day Dawns. But, you know, that's cataloguing Guild Wars 2. That's a big passion of mine. And overall, I'm happy with it. There have been some, like, minor mistakes. Like, again, in that Wayfarer episode, I mentioned that there was a new heart, and that was the rabbit heart, but it wasn't actually new, it just moved from a cliff. So that's aggravating. But, you know, I'm talking for hours and hours and hours in that show. I shouldn't let a little blip get to me. Also, on the topic of Wayfarer, that was never, like, accidentally mis-uploaded. I had so many people saying, you forgot Wayfarer, WP. I didn't forget Wayfarer, it's just we had a day earlier in the month when Wayfarer was supposed to go up that I ended up having, like, 3 videos. I think it was because of Sunqua Peak. So I pushed Wayfarer back to just the next free space I could find, which was like a week later. And during that week, I did leave comments. I did say to people, hey, that's the situation. But obviously people are going to miss it unless it's in the video itself. And you guys bombarded me. Well, there you go. It's up. So they were all good. Let's talk a bit about the graveyard. I'm really happy with the graveyard. I actually have big ambitions for it. There's only so much that we can talk about with Guild Wars 2 specifically. But going forwards, I really love talking about old lost stuff, and I don't think it's a particularly covered area on YouTube too. So I may have found one of these little things where my passion has actually got people interested and it's not some stupidly overdone thing. I'm keen on that. So I do want to keep going with it. I was really disappointed with that episode of The Graveyard where people on Reddit were just dicks, basically. They had their petty response, and then I did a petty response video as well. I do want to clarify to people, one of the reasons I made that was because pretty much that was the entirety of the thread. There was almost no one in the comments there, and those who were saying that kind of stuff. There were maybe 2 comment chains that were, you know, neutral or were actually about the subject material at hand, which I really enjoyed, and the rest of it was just a complete drag. So one of the main reasons I did that video, as petty and gross and emotionally charged as it was, and I do kind of feel a bit icky about it, was because I wanted it to be a constructive attempt to try and turn around the Reddit discussion a bit. It strikes me that a lot of decent people who would once upon a time actually be discussing stuff in a neutral or interested tone aren't there anymore. And I kind of wanted to do a video that would address that and maybe enact some change. But it was a weird one because I didn't want to go online, and I still don't want to go online and say, hey guys, make sure you're on the Reddit being artificially really positive and making sure my hug box is over there. That's really disgusting and desperate, and the way I've always treated the Reddit is what has happened on the Reddit has been because of you guys. I've never tried to influence it in any way. So is it right that if there's a negative thread, I now go back on that? I mean, come on, that's such hypocrisy. So I didn't really want to do any of that. I was just sad, man. I just made that video because I was sad. Now, let's talk about the response to that video. People were really nice to me. They really rallied around. They really helped to crystallize and make sure that I knew this was just some weird minority. I actually had a ton of private messages that were kind of slanderous to a lot of the people involved on the Reddit who I guess have reputations. So while it was all very nice, and I think you guys were brilliant, I think everyone was really mature. I don't think anyone did any witch hunting or any of that stuff. Someone in the comments said to me, oh, you can't do this, it's going to be a witch hunt. Well, actually, I think everyone was really all right. I'm extremely proud of how adult everyone was there, because it can get very pitchforky. I've seen it a lot on the internet before. But all that said, as good as that was for my mood and whatnot, I'm not going to do videos like that again. I was really on the fence about it in the first place. The only reason I fell on the side of the fence where I actually produce it is because I'm in kind of this experimentative place. But like many of you pointed out, I don't think it's a good idea. I think it can be a very slippery slope into like this drama channel nonsense thing. I think that views around dumb drama are, generally speaking, ill-gotten, and I'm quite judgmental of people that pursue a lot of that. I think we can be better than that. I think it's better for my mental state as well to not sort of poke the beehive, as it were, not aggravate people. One of the other things that kind of went into that video is in my free time, I had been reading, just out of curiosity, into some of the stresses and crazy situations that occurred with another YouTuber who's not around anymore, and how it kind of really seemed to have broken them in a lot of ways. They had an old SoundCloud they used to post these crazy rants on about their own audience. And I guess it just kind of led me a little bit curious about what kind of person am I? Am I above this? Is my audience above this? Like, how are things for me? And well, to be honest, I think we can be above it. I think it doesn't matter. I think minority voices can be easily silenced by ignoring them. And yeah, I appreciate how completely tragic that statement is. Over to the actual users of the thread as well. I want to be clear that I don't consider them enemies or harbor any ill will or anything like that. I don't think they're scumbags or bad people. There's two facts about internet communication that I really believe in, and it kind of leads me to be kind of forgiving of this stuff. First of all, no one expects, if you're talking about someone else, that someone else to actually read what you're saying. You know, it's like if I go online and I start talking mad shit about Will Smith, do I really think Will Smith's gonna see it? Do I really think about it as though he's in the room or sitting across a table from me? No, I don't. And so a lot of people, especially if you're in a place where you post a ton on forums or you post a ton on YouTube comments or stuff like that, you're not always actively thinking about who's going to see it. You're not always thinking about the consequence of what you say. It's because people are commenting casually. And so that's how people end up saying kind of mean stuff as well a lot of the time too, or really strongly worded stuff, is because people forget pleasantries on the internet and they forget to moderate their tone and so on. It's actually true that one of the people that we talked about in that petty video left a really lovely big wall of text comment in the YouTube comments. Now, you guys didn't thumb that up much, so it was visible. I gave it a love heart. I was really hoping it would be visible. He was a 5-year-long subscriber of mine. But this guy came back and said, hey, look, you know, I didn't really feel that strongly, and really explained in complete detail how they felt and why. And you can clearly see they're just normal people. It's just people type stuff out hastily, and they're not careful with what they say. That's all it is. It's not malice. People just aren't careful. The Will Smith example you might think is kind of stupid because, I mean, he's a mega celebrity. What's he going to be doing poking around on a small Reddit? But people forget how small the Guild Wars 2 community is and how likely it is a dev or anyone will get that information. You got to remember, with content creators specifically, they really do have to be tuned in to what's happening. And a lot of us, you know, we like reading people talking about us. That's one of the reasons we do it. So a lot is seen in silence. And I too can be not careful as I talk and talk and talk. So, you know, I don't harbor any crazy ill will. People are just thoughtless. They're not mean, they're just thoughtless. And the other thing, someone else hit the nail on the head very well. That really explains so much of everything you see, is that basically I think there can be a feeling of envy when someone else is being rewarded for saying something you also knew. I think a lot of people feel that kind of envy, and then if that other guy who's being rewarded, and I'm being rewarded because, you know, I have an audience, if that guy then messes up, it feels really good to sort of tear that down. And I understand that impulse 100%. You know, you combine that with people just not being careful, and you get Reddit threads like that. That's all it is. It's not a big deal. And so I'm ready to move on. You probably won't see any videos like that again. I mean, I can't ever say never, but for now, I'm pretty confident that I won't be doing it. As for the graveyard itself, I have a few more parts. People on Patreon have already been able to see those. One is going up tomorrow about lost and missing skills, which I'm especially excited about. I really liked that one. It's less about the fashion, but it's more about the skills. And then I'm going to be taking the show in another direction, as I already alluded to. But we'll talk more about that probably at the next update. So, what have I been working on while Last Day Dawns is going up, which is now finished? Well, a non-Guild Wars 2 project. You've probably been seeing me hint about it in various comments and on the Discord and stuff. So it's not Daggerfall. Now, I am going to do Daggerfall. We are going on with the Elder Scrolls stuff. I actually anticipate us being well into a Morrowind LP sooner than you think. But before we return to the Elder Scrolls, I wanted to do another series in between Arena and Daggerfall. That's what I've been working on. Now, what is this game? It's a game that long-term fans of mine have been waiting for. I don't know how many of those long-term fans are still around. I don't even know if they're listening to my voice right now. This is a game that I could have realistically done in 2017, and then it would have been perfect to do in 2018 when it got ported to Steam, but in 2018 I had the Guild Wars 2 stuff going on, the Guild Wars 2 LP. What's the game? Can anyone guess? It's related to some very long gameplay series I did in the past. It's No, it's not Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I don't know when we're going to do that. It's Final Fantasy 12! So yes, finally the day has come. This was a huge game from my past with a brilliant story. Well worth checking out. I used to have a lot of FF fans watching me. Of all the projects I've ever done, I have to say that my presentation of 10 and 10.2 generates some of the loveliest comments and nicest applause that I've ever had. There's something about the way that those games were structured and the way that I got to talk about them and teach people about them that I think was really good. And so I kind of shy away from stuff if it's been done to death elsewhere on the internet. But Past Me did well enough with 10 and 10.2 that I think, you know what? I really can do something good with 12 here. 12 is especially exciting at the moment because now that it's on PC, it's going to be way easier to record than the other ones were where I was playing on my PlayStation 4. It's going to have a higher resolution and frame rate. You can run stuff like Reshade with it, and the modding community has been able to do some insane stuff lately. They're really dedicated, talented people that have made some incredible progress just in recent months. Hell, the game itself had a patch just a few months old. So it's not like this old, dead, forgotten game with nothing happening. It's perfect timing. So I actually have been planning to do FF12 this entire year. If you go way back to like my February update, you might hear a little comment in there that sort of vaguely alludes to this. Well, yes, it's here now. Many of the videos are already produced. I've done lots and lots of work. Here's the thing. FF12 is a massive game, like really big. And I do want to be well into Morrowind soon. So the upload schedule is going to be different. So far, I've been playing with this one every other day thing where, you know, Last Day Dawns, you got half an hour every other day. This show is going to be an hour every day. And I'm wondering if that's too much. I remember when the 12 series was going on, I had a lot of long-term fans saying, I don't have the time to watch this. I'm sorry, I got caught behind. And then as soon as people get caught behind, they decide to stop. Look, I just want to implore you guys, if you get caught behind, it doesn't matter. Just keep going. I'm still looking at the comments. There's still stuff happening. I hope that 1 hour a day, every day, isn't too much for people. But it's the only realistic way that we can get through it in a decent amount of time. My honest hope is that the game and the show is so good that people get properly hooked and then they're really happy to see one every day. I actually wonder if one every other day is too slow. Like when I'm watching a series myself on YouTube, if it's daily, I get really into it. If it's not daily, I don't. And so this is kind of another little bit of an experiment here. There will be daily FF12 videos. The open world Guild Wars 2 series is still going to be alternating days, but this one will be daily. There'll be some other fun features where I actually have you guys' comments on the episodes, which hopefully will make people know that I'm still watching and I get to respond to them, and you know, you'll feel a little bit more reason to comment and we'll have a lot to talk about, because the main thing I want is just a ton of comments. That's all I really want. I want people to talk to me about the game as much as possible. And you can also look out for some activity to do with that on Wooden Potatoes 2, where I'll talk a bit about some of the mods and stuff like that if you guys want to have the same setup as me. So yeah, really excited, really thrilled to finally be here. And if any of those old FF fans on the channel are still around, we've got something big coming. It's going to launch like super soon. Tomorrow maybe, or the day after, and then it's going out. And you'll be enjoying it, hopefully. So, that's really the big ticket news. We'll round out this update with some other things. I obviously booted up The Floor, a Q&A project. I'm pretty happy with this. I noticed that if I did the episodes too quick, there was a pretty steep drop in people watching. So I don't know if I can do Q&As as regularly as I used to, like before the game came out. But they will happen, and again, the next one's going to be on Sunqua Peak. The more topics we talk about, the better. You'll find videos like this often go up on the days when there was no open world episode. Elite Speculation is going great. You guys are really enjoying that. Now, I don't know if you guys noticed, but we changed the format pretty heavily now. What we used to do for that show was like burn hours of our time before the episode, sitting down and crafting our little thing and getting really proud of our own little thing. And then we'd present it to each other, and during the commentary have these massive like attacks on each other's ideas, which never feels that good. I mean, we were always well toned with it, but then I'd have to just edit all out anyway because the videos were way too long. Like, you know, they were 2-3 hours or something, which was nuts. So we changed the format for this season 2. I was really insecure about it because basically we don't prep early. We just build it on the fly. It's more of a workshop show now. But you guys seem to like it even more. I've had like 2 people say to me, hey, I preferred the old idea, and that's cool, and I understand that. But most people seem to have really taken it in their stride. So yeah, Elite Speculation will keep going. Poor Boots, it's just finding time to do stuff together. The last one we recorded was right as I was doing everything and Sunqua Peak. It was a nightmare. But we'll probably get the next one going early next week, and yeah, that will keep going. More to talk about with Cantha is better. You need to keep people remembering that there's something big and exciting is coming for Guild Wars 2, and I don't just mean the Steam release. Weird thing, I want to give a special shout out to, like 3 weeks ago, I logged into Guild Wars 2 and I had a Black Lion mail, which is very weird. It was someone who sent me the Shell Surfer skin, the Skimmer skin. Remember when that came out in the obstacle course and we were covering all of that? Someone noticed I didn't have it and they sent it to me. Thank you so much to whoever that was. I'm not streaming, so I don't really have a moment where I can say thank you anymore. I can't return those. It's anonymous, so I have no idea who gave that to me. So I'm just going to shout it out to the wild here. Whoever you were, if you're listening, thank you. That was really, really nice of you. Talking about stream, absolutely no long-term plans for it still at the moment. I will find if there is a way for me to juggle it with all my other fun ideas as we go forward. I do have some concepts for like challenge runs that involve tonics and pacifism and all kinds of stuff. I've actually got a full thing written out. I just don't know when I will do it. There are ideas for one-offs, which will happen. So I don't know who subbed over there or what. I know a lot of you guys don't want to break your streaks and your sprees. I do want to assure you, you will get value. I will do those streams. It's just a matter of dotting them in. And so far this month, I just haven't dotted them in. I'm all engines blasting on Final Fantasy 12 at the moment. For other stuff, I've been trying to push people into Discord. Kind of slacked a bit there, but activity does seem to have gone up a bit. Please remember, guys, there's a link in the description you can click to go to the Discord. And quite often, you'll find me posting in one of the channels that is specifically about my videos, all right? That's the place I mostly go. I'll sometimes be in the Guild Wars 2 one, sometimes elsewhere, but usually I'm in there, and it is a place where you can interact with me, and I do hope that we continue to get people in. I just need to be more regular about that. I came back to Twitter in a pretty big way this month, and I actually, for the first time ever, did a Twitter poll. So with the Steam release, I'm wondering about the new player experience again, and I threw up a poll saying, look, you've got a new player. They've just arrived with the Steam release. Are you going to tell them to level 80 boost or not? Are they going to level manually or boost? And that poll got like 2,000 votes in like 12 hours. Like loads of people were really interested. I didn't know that many people looked at my Twitter, to be perfectly honest. And it spurred a ton of discussion. I do think maybe there's a video in it. Out of all those votes, the proportion, by the way, was about only 10 to 12% of you recommended using the boost. It seems most people who follow me, at least, believe more in manually leveling. But the thing is, I think there's a lot of bias. I think a lot of people don't think about the quality of the new stuff. I think a lot of people find it hard to really put themselves in the shoes of a new player who feels like they're missing out because everyone else is at, so to speak, end game, and they're not. And I don't think that we're going to see 9 in 10 noobs not using the booster. I think we're going to see that's a very, very different proportion. And I know my poll was asking what people recommend, not what they think the reality is going to be. But I think there's stuff to talk about. So we will go through. I heard a few people suggest like hybrid approaches, which I do kind of believe in. That's going to get rolled into all my ideas for coverage when the Steam release comes out, which I hope isn't going to be an overblown event. I hope it's going to be a big event, and I hope that there's a reason to make good videos with it. Lastly, I guess there's Patreon to talk about. So Patreon has not really been climbing. It's not really going down either. So steady, which I basically consider to be a victory. You know, on the long term, I think there is an expectation that I want it to grow so that I can actually do adult things. But the headline here really is that everyone's happy with what I'm doing. I am pretty insecure. Yes, as I mentioned, watch time has gone up massively, but it started to drop. It climbed to a really, really high place at about the 17th, and now it's on a pretty steady decline. And again, I think that's because Last Day Dawns overstayed its welcome, and maybe the Open World series overstayed its welcome, and that's really all we've got going right now. I'm scared about FF12. I am. I mean, maybe it will be a similar situation. I'm mostly concerned, you know, Patreon hasn't changed, even though watch time is, and I'm just concerned, are people getting value out of it? I really hope they are, and I really hope to encourage anyone else to click that link in the description and join if you'd like. And of course, there will be a super Q&A going up very soon where you guys can ask me practically anything and we'll give some big essay-ish responses. So that's it. That's the update for this month. Generally, life's pretty good. In my free time, I've finished playing Ark. I picked up Fallout New Vegas. I've been playing Sea of Thieves, by the way, which I have to say, for the first 10 hours or so, probably some of my best gaming experiences ever. After the first 10 hours, I think you learn a bit more about how the game works and the tension goes away and stuff, but wow, what a game, really. No specific YouTube plans there, but maybe they'll appear in an episode of The Floor or something if people ask me about them. And there you have it, guys. Thank you all. I'd love to see what you have to say. Let's have a good October. I'm going to get some barbecue chicken out now, which I've had cooking while recording the video. Ah, see, you could have been doing that too.